Hey guys, it's Kevin in the Murphy guys. I'm reviewing this is a movie that I've wanted to see for a very long time now. Heard a lot of hype about it, and finally I've been able to see it, and that is none other than Thoroughbreds. And what Thoroughbreds is essentially about is we center on these two characters. We have Lily and we also have Amanda, and these two used to be best friends back in high school, but they have since grown apart, and Lily has now become Amanda's tutor because Amanda really is not doing well in school at all, and Lily's the complete opposite. She's actually very successful, and she's a very good student. And one day, Amanda drops this bomb on Lily that not only has she been faking a lot of her emotion, but she has no emotion whatsoever. It's not that she is a completely terrible person, she just doesn't really have any reaction to anything, and basically she starts to see that Lily has a very messed up life, including a father who is very hard on her, and the two of them concoct a plan about possibly killing him, and basically the rest of the movie is Lily deciding whether or not she wants to do that, and also kind of tapping into her more sadistic side, and that's really all I'm going to say. So Thoroughbreds in general, I was really looking forward to this movie. I mean, just the cast in general, Olivia Cooke and Anya Taylor-Joy, these are two of the finest young actresses I think working today. Anya Taylor-Joy has impressed me numerous times between The Witch and Split. I mean, she has proven herself to be one of the most dynamic, one of the creepiest. I mean, she really is a fantastic actress. And Olivia Cooke, I've always enjoyed her since Bates Motel, and I thought that those two worked very well together, but also the plot very much intrigued me. I was really hoping this would be a very solid film. Not only was this a very solid film, this is actually an amazing film. I really did love Thoroughbreds. I think this is an incredible movie overall that really is a very different film than what I expected to be, but definitely was a very welcome film in that regard. And we're just getting into right now, starting off with the cast. And easily that is the best thing about this movie. If the two performances in this film weren't as strong as they are, I don't think the movie would hold up as well. I mean, these two performances, to say that our main two leads completely get into their characters is an understatement. I mean, Olivia Cooke, let's talk about her, for example, because sure, I've seen her on Bates Motel. She was fantastic as a character of Emma, but there was a lot of limitations to her. Emma never really got that focus until, like, the last season. And here, it really is a shame because she is a phenomenal actress and she absolutely killed it here. This is easily the best work I have ever seen from Cooke. I mean, she completely lost herself in this character, and what I really love about Amanda is, sure, this is someone who is very nihilistic and who is quite emotionless. I mean, she is essentially playing a robot, someone who is emotionally stagnant, who, you know, internally, you know, I mean, externally, you see, basically, she just is completely unscathed by everything, but there definitely is a, you know, some sort of empathy that she has towards people, and she definitely does have that emotion within her. It's just not the way that you or I do, and Cooke plays it up so well where you really do get to care for this character, and I really think she did a fantastic job. A lesser actress, this could have been a very unlikable role, but she takes someone who shouldn't be relatable and actually makes her that way, and I thought she really did an incredible job with that. I really did love her in this movie, and she absolutely killed it here. And then Anya Taylor-Joy, like I said, for me is one of the best actresses working today. She is, again, continues to show why she's so great in this movie. And look, sure, she's played very similar characters because, again, she's playing another girl who's very closed off, who's very reserved, but has this very creepy demeanor about her. And that is essentially what Lily is, but there's a lot more to her because from a surface level, you know, you just kind of see her as the preppy overachiever who is the complete opposite of Amanda. You know, she has all this spirit and emotion within her, but you can really see that deep down there is something really menacing about Lily. There's some sort of evil brewing within her, and you don't really know what it is, and watching her kind of come to that realization is phenomenal. And again, Taylor-Joy just played it so well here. She was absolutely fantastic in this role. I will be very surprised surprised if she doesn't continue to do more work because, again, this is one of her best roles today. Every role she's done, I've absolutely loved her in, but once again, she just continues to show why she's so great. And these two have some of the best, I know it's early in the year, but this is already some of the best chemistry I've seen all year. They just work so well together. You can see that through this one revelation, this really does change a lot of stuff, and I really did love getting into their relationship. I thought they definitely were fantastic in this movie, and like I said, if these two actresses were not in here, I don't think the movie would be as strong as it really is. But then the rest of the cast, I thought, also did a really good job. Anton Yelchin, of course, it is very sad to talk about him because this is, in fact, his last performance, but it was a good one to go out on. He plays this character who's kind of at this dead-end job in his life, and he has a very bad rep in the school. But he does have something about him that, again, is kind of intriguing. But you also do see that he kind of is the normal one of the group. And that's not to say that he's a normal person. He's not. But when you have these two girls who are so sadistic and so weird, he is a bit normal. And he does get played a lot in this movie. And I thought he overall did a really good job. He definitely had some of the funniest lines in the film for sure. And I really did care about his character. You want this guy to succeed. You want this guy to find a job. You want him to get some direction in his life. But, you know, you just don't really know if it's going to happen for him. I thought he was really great. Paul Sparks, of course, gives a really good performance. What I really loved about him is that they don't really set him up. You know, sure, in the trailer, he is an asshole, but you can see where he's coming from. There is a person behind what, you know, Lily does see. There definitely is more to him than that, and you see that he really does care about her. He wants to do all. He doesn't really need, you know, he wants to do it. He doesn't really know what to do with her. You know, you want to send her off to boarding school because he is very creeped out by her. You can tell that she really does need help, and I really did like getting into his character. He did a really good job here. Honestly, I thought everyone did a really great job, but like I said, the film really is anchored by Olivia Cooke and Anya Taylor-Joy, and definitely, you know, the rest of the cast, while great, are definitely not on that level at all. So now let's get to the directing and the writing, because holy shit, this directing. I mean, I know this is going to be hard for you guys to believe, and I truly can't believe this either, but this movie is a directorial debut. I know, it's crazy. I can't believe it, but Cory Finley, yes, this is his directorial debut, and to be honest with you, this is easily one of the most confident and one of the most self-assured directorial debuts I've ever seen. I mean, the fact that he already this young and this early in his career is coming up with just such a unique and different concept in a movie that I think is really going to divide a lot of people is really admirable, honestly. I mean, I really give him props for that. It's a very risky move, especially when, like I said, you're not a well-known director, but the fact that he really put himself out there, major props to him, because he really did a fantastic job here. The tone is so confident. It's very dark. It's almost to the point where the comedy, it is hard to find, you know, when am I supposed to laugh here? Is this actually supposed to be funny? But he plays it out in a way where it's enjoyable. Like, it's never depressing. This movie is enjoyable. It's really fun to watch at points, but it does have a lot of dramatic stuff about it. He does not try to shy away from what these girls are going through, and I just thought he did a fantastic job with that. The tone was just so well realized. Sometimes the film does get into some horror territory, sometimes it does get into some drama territory, but sometimes it does feel like a character study, and to its core, though, I think what this film is it's basically just your like a normal coming-of-age high school film, just a lot more twisted and weird than that. That's really what this is. But again, he really did put his own spin on it, and I was definitely very impressed by that. Let's talk about the writing, though, because here's the thing. You're gonna watch this movie, and you're gonna kind of feel like it's a play. Well, that's because it was. I don't know if it actually turned out to a play, but I do know that Cory Finley intentionally wanted to make a play with this story, and I don't know if it actually is a play or what really happened there. I'm not entirely 100% sure about that, but I will say this very much does feel like a two-shot at points. Like, it feels like the whole movie And it kind of is, you know, resting on these two characters' shoulders. And luckily, the film really does a lot to develop them. Like I already alluded to, while these two, one is completely emotionless and one's very emotional, that does not mean that the one who's emotionless is completely heartless on the inside and the one who is emotional is full of joy. That's definitely not the case. These characters are much more layered, much more damage, and they're going through far more shit than you would expect to. Particularly the character of Lily. I really like getting into her character because I thought throughout the film the juxtaposition was going to get kind of obnoxious, where we would just see Amanda and she'd be very nihilistic and she'd just be very negative all the time, and then Lily would be the complete opposite. But it's really not that way at all. In fact, Lily does not react to things in a normal way. When Amanda reveals to her that she doesn't feel everything, obviously Lily is taken aback by this, but as the film goes on, you start to realize that she's more intrigued by what's going on. I mean, this completely shakes up her worldview, obviously. I mean, she starts, you know, thinking back to a lot of conversations that the two had, and I thought those were some of the most fascinating scenes of the entire film. I mean, just think about if you had this friend for all these years and you grew apart and you thought you knew them and you thought that they had this sympathy for you, but then you grow up to realize that not only that, but they've been faking it the entire time and they have no emotion whatsoever. I mean, it just changes everything, and I really loved getting into that relationship. They go into a lot of interesting places with it, and I definitely really did enjoy that. And I have to say that while the trailer makes it seem like the movie is about these two wanting to kill her father, that's not really the plot of this movie. That's more of just the inciting incident. Like, that's kind of like the thing that keeps the plot chugging along. But like I said, most of this movie is a character study. It's about these two girls. It's about really what they're going through. And that's something I definitely really did enjoy. I like getting into who they were. I like seeing both of their home lives because they're really not that great at all. And, you know, Amanda, for example, is very damaged. I mean, she has this horrible reputation at school where she, like, euthanized a horse or whatever, and you don't really know why she did that or what's really going on there. But, you know, basically, she, like I said, is a lot more emotional, and she actually does have a lot of stuff that she is going through, and I definitely really did love getting into that. I thought that was overall very interesting, and I thought, again, just the movie has a lot to say when it comes to empathy, and sometimes we shouldn't have empathy for others. Why do we care so much about people? Should we just completely turn it off? Should we just stop being so respectful? Should we stop being so caring about certain people? And I found that to be a very interesting thing that this movie explored, and some people might see that as the movie is telling you not to. The movie's telling you not to have empathy, and I didn't see it as that at all. I saw it more as just kind of questioning, what if you didn't have empathy for people? What if you just lived a life where you didn't really care about what happened to others or even yourself? Because that is a point that's kind of brought up in this film, and I thought that definitely was very interesting. And going from that, actually, for a while, I was a little bit disappointed with the lack of depth in Amanda. They spend a lot of time with Lily. We really get into her home life, what she's going through, the struggles that she's had in her home, you know, what her complicated home life, her complicated life in general. We don't really see a lot of Amanda, but a scene in the third act really tells me this was deliberate. This was very deliberate what they were trying to do. I'm not going to spoil what she ends up saying, but there was a line in the third act, and it seems like this was intentional. They intentionally didn't show us Amanda's home life because she just doesn't really have much of one, and, you know, there really is a lot that she's going through, but again, you know, when you see the movie, you'll understand what I mean, but I thought that was definitely very interesting. The cinematography here is absolutely fantastic. Once again, for a, you know, whoever the cinematographer is, they did a fantastic job. And there's so many scenes that stick out to me in this movie. There is this one tracking shot in the third act, and it is among some of the best scenes I have seen, I think probably will see all year. It is incredibly well done. It's a scene where it doesn't, you know, you think it's gonna cut, but it never does. It stays on this one shot for for a while, and it keeps dollying into this one specific thing, and the scene gets darker and darker as it goes on, and it was just so well handled. I really love the way it was done. It was just so raw and unapologetic, and that's something I really did love when it came to cinematography. There was a very specific style to this movie, and I thought it worked very well. Never came across as style over substance. I thought the cinematography, like I said, was just some of the best I've seen all year, and I really did love it, I have to say. The score also particularly is very interesting here because, sure, there is a score, but like you heard in the trailer, it is largely quite minimal. The film uses a lot of just percussion instruments, and sometimes it'll just use something like the beat of a drum, or just like a harpsichord, or, you know, like, just any kind of percussion instrument that you can think of, and I thought that was actually a really cool idea, the use of minimal instrumentation. It definitely worked in this film for sure, and I thought it was a really cool idea. I really loved the way they did that, and I thought it, like I said, it just worked very well within this film. And the editing. Here's the thing I will give this movie. I do have like 2 complaints with it, and I'll talk about the first one. The first one is the editing. This film has a very specific style to it. I mean that in every way, but that's both a positive and a negative. It's a positive when it comes to cinematography. It's a negative when it comes to the when it comes to the editing, because the film is divided up into like 4 specific chapters, and to be honest with you, I don't 100% know why. It seemed like they were trying to catapult off the success of like something like Tarantino or Wes Anderson or something like that, and it just didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Like, there was really nothing in this movie that makes you feel like, oh yeah, we needed this style. It just did not really fit this film, and again, while his directing is ambitious, that was a little too ambitious. I don't really think we needed that style, and it did take me out of the movie at points. Like, it wasn't something that really bothered me all that much, but I was just kind of sitting there like, alright, what's the point of this? Why are we really doing this? I didn't really understand that. Also, as good as Anton Yelchin is in this movie, his character is very underused, and there definitely is not enough given to his character. The last scene that he has in this movie, you feel like he's gonna come back, and you await his arrival, only for him to never show up again. He does show up like one more time, but it's just not very satisfying, and to me, as good as the third act was, there were some points in the movie where I did feel like they kind of ran out of steam, and they kind of ran out of story to tell. I don't know if that was just me, but it did kind of come across the way, and especially when it comes to Anton Yelchin's character, I was very fascinated by him. I really liked what he was going through, and the film really does cut his story short, and I think they could have delved a lot more into that. Also, without spoiling anything in this movie, the way the movie does eventually wrap up, while I did think it was overall a good ending, it just felt kind of abrupt. Like, it was one of those things where it didn't piss me off like something like The Party or something like that, where I felt like they completely copped out on an ending, but it just felt very abrupt. Like, I just kind of saw credits and I was like, oh, okay, it's over. Like, it was very weird overall. I think they really could have done a little bit more there, but it was a good ending. It just, like I said, felt kind of abrupt overall. But other than that, guys, this is a phenomenal film that is very different. It's not something I think everyone is going to love, I'll definitely say that. A lot of people have said this is this generation's Heathers, and I will agree with that to a point, but I feel like they would be doing this film a disservice because it really is kind of its own thing. It's very unapologetic, it's very dark, it's very nihilistic, it gets into these really weird areas of the human soul, you know, about empathy and about the struggles that, like, rich people go through. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff that this movie really does have to say, and that's something I really did admire about it. It has 2 of the best performances I've seen all year from Anya Taylor-Joy and Olivia Cooke. They both absolutely killed it in this movie. Great cinematography, great score. Thoroughbreds, to me, is just everything I really want when it comes to a great movie. I really did love this film overall. Besides those 2 flaws, I think it's a very well put together film, and I definitely do want to see more from Cory Finley, because he really did impress me here, and I definitely am going to give Thoroughbreds overall an A-. Also, I will say that I am very aware that Cory Finley has stated before that this is kind of like a sequel to the play Equus, and I am not familiar with this play. I've heard the title, obviously. I've heard the title, and I know, like, the basic idea, but I don't know what it's really all about. I don't know how that really ties into this film, so I can't really say too much about that, but I do think it's cool that he took a play that is so well, so well known to all and kind of made like sort of like a modern day version that I thought that was actually really cool, and I thought it did add some sort of message to this film. Not really a message, but it added this metaphor that I thought was honestly really well done and really was in your face at all, and I really did enjoy it, I have to say. But over, guys, my review of Thoroughbreds. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. Left your thoughts in it. Please see this movie if you haven't, honestly. There's not a lot of great stuff coming out this week, but this is definitely a hidden gem. I feel like not a lot of people are seeing this movie, and definitely check it out. I think it definitely deserves your attention for sure. Again, I don't think it's for everyone. It's going to be a very divisive and polarizing film, but hey, so was Heather. So was American Psycho when it first came out. I don't think this is going to be too different from that, but that's in my review. Hope you enjoyed. See you guys in my next video, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.